Hello everyone, so today I am here to do the pasta book tag. This tag was created by the Literary Gladiators, who I will link down below. You guys should totally check them out. I love their channel. They are great. But this tag, I just loved the questions because I love pasta. I can't even blame it on being Italian because I'm totally German, but I love pasta. I will eat all sorts of pasta. So when I saw the questions and everything, I had to do this tag. So number 1 is Mac and Cheese, the most heartfelt book that you have read. And for this question, I am going with Out of the Easy by Ruta Sepetys, whatever, I don't know how to pronounce it. I feel like this is one of her least known works. A lot of people read her other novels like Salt to the Sea and Between Shades of Grey, but this is the only book I read by her and I absolutely adored it. I read it on my way to New York, and I just thought this was so angsty but also kind of beautiful. It's about a girl who lives in New Orleans and her mom is a prostitute, and although it isn't heartwarming in a family sense of that, it's heartwarming in the family way of she kind of makes her own family because her family really isn't there for her. Number 2 is Spaghetti and Meatballs, a work that you know inside and out. And I am, of course, going with my favorite book, Three Souls by Jenny Chang. I've reread this a couple of times. I'm planning on a reread soon. I know this book left, right, and backwards and up and down. I love this book so much, so I have reread it a lot, and I plan on rereading it more, so I will know it even better pretty soon. Number 3 is Lasagna, a story with a lot of complex layers. And for this, I couldn't not do a Murakami novel, and so I'm going with Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. This book has so many parallel storylines and complex characters and complex postmodern and magical realism elements, and you just slowly peel back all of those layers as you go through this story and discover how everything connects, what is going on, and how everything happens basically in this story. Number 4 is Stuffed Shells, a work that is attention-grabbing from the beginning to the end. And I am going with Enchanted Ivy by Sarah Beth Durst, which is a book I actually think I don't talk about very much on this channel, but it is one of my all-time favorite books. This book is one that when I was a kid, I got it from the library and just sat down at nighttime to read, 1 or 2 chapters maybe, and I accidentally read the entire book and stayed up until 2 a.m. And if you know me, I go to bed at 9 o'clock on the dot, so being up until 2 a.m. reading a book just doesn't happen. This book is attention-grabbing from the very first sentence all the way through it. It starts as such a normal book about a girl going to Princeton University to check everything out and see if she wants to go to college there. And it goes through just such fantastical elements, and it just becomes a fantasy novel by the end of it, and it is wonderful. Number 5 is Penne Vodka, a story for children but has adult themes in it. And I am going with Coraline by Neil Gaiman, which I feel is a book that children do not get scared of, but adults do. And I think that is the strangest thing in the entire world because I read this as a child and as an adult, and as a child, I didn't think it was that creepy, but when I read it as an adult, I was terrified. I was like, oh my god, how did I read this as a child? So for kids, it seems like just this nice little story, but for adults, it's like a horror novel. The next one is Elbow Macaroni, an easy read. And this is anything by Rick Riordan. The Percy Jackson series is my pick. I absolutely loved this first series. Not a biggest fan of the second series or any of his other works, but the main Percy Jackson series is definitely a fly-by read, super easy, super fun, super fast-paced. Next question is Bow Ties, a book that you would read to catch someone's attention. And this would be The Fellowship of the Ring or any of Tolkien's works, just because I do feel like when I do read these in public, people do talk to me about them. Either, oh, I've read that book, or oh, I love those movies or something. So I feel like if I wanted to go somewhere and, I don't know, make people talk to me, I'd bring this along because I feel like people always, Lord of the Rings fans, gravitate towards each other. So I would love to meet some Lord of the Rings fans. Maybe I'll read this in college or something and have people come up to me and talk to me. The next question is Noodles, a work that is very long but a great experience to read. And for this, I'm going with the Raya Revelation series. It's 6 books long. Each book is over 700 pages long. But It was such a fun experience to read these books, and I have an entire review for this series down in the description below if you want to hear about them, because they are definitely just a great but very, very long experience. The next question is Lo Mein, your favorite work of Eastern literature. I have been reading so much Eastern literature right now because I have been just loving learning and reading about Japan and China and Korea and Thailand and everything. So I have so many options for this and I don't know what to do. Obviously I could say my favorite novel, which is Three Souls, which takes place in 1930s China. But, I feel like I should switch things up a bit. I guess when I do think Eastern literature, I obviously go Haruki Murakami, and my favorite book by him is Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing about this book, so I'll just leave my review down below for you guys. The next question is Di Tellini Pasta, a writer that you think is essential for their genre. I'm going to do two. I'm going to do a modern author that I believe kind of paves the pathway for his genre, and an older author that probably set the way for him. For a modern author, I'm going with Brandon Sanderson, who I feel like is right now just the king of fantasy. I feel like so many fantasy writers look up to him, and so many fantasy lovers just love his books, including myself. So for a modern author, I definitely think Brandon Sanderson is essential to the fantasy genre. But of course, fantasy really would not have happened without Tolkien. He is 100% the king of fantasy forever. He paved the way for all fantasy novels and fantasy writers, so obviously Tolkien is essential for the fantasy genre, or we probably wouldn't have anything similar to it. The next question is, what is your favorite pasta? And my favorite pasta is just plain, like, boiled noodles with Parmesan cheese, butter, and broccoli. I eat that as many times as I possibly can in the summer and the spring, not so much in the autumn and winter, but I do eat it constantly when it's like nice out. I don't really know why, but I do love that because it's healthy and it's yummy. And the last question is, who do you tag? I don't know. If you feel like doing this tag, or just like pasta or books or anything like that, I suggest that you guys do it and I officially tag you. Anyways, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and I love you all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!